Namaskar. It is a pride privilege to be amongst you once again. We had a meeting earlier also, which were attended by some of you, and today it is on a much larger scale. And so many thanks to the CIO Forum. And it is so great to know that you are here for almost 22 years, doing a very good service to the community, IT professionals, and I will say the complete industry, because now everybody is dependent on IT. The entire industry, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, India, abroad, anywhere, it's all dependent on the IT. So you are doing a fantastic job of helping IT industry and of course the entire industry. Today we are going to discuss about the new DPDP Act. The rules have also come in the draft form, likely to be the same because these rules are already approved by Ministry of Home Affairs. So this was a very important milestone and important requirement that they need to be approved by the Ministry of Home because of a lot of implications. Since they have been approved by the Ministry of Home, so in all likelihood they will remain more or less same. Of course, the public consultation is going on and all of you and everybody can make their suggestions. But as we know, it's not possible to accommodate each and every suggestion. So some of them may be accommodated, or maybe a couple of rules may get deferred for the implementation. But a beginning, which is due for quite some time, I'm sure it will be made. Can we have the next slide? So we will very briefly discuss, because this is the first question I am continuously asked. And what is the applicability? And I think it's very a genuine question to ask, whether it applies to me or not, on what transactions it is applicable. Apply to the processing of digital personal data. So if the data is not digital, so if you are taking information in a plain written form on paper, it is not applicable. So be happy. But the moment you do a scanning or do a data entry, it becomes applicable. So I think even most of the government departments, they have digitized their old data, not to talk about the current data. So almost all data is now being kept in the digital format, and scanning is included. It is not only that you are keeping in database. So the moment you are doing scanning, it becomes applicable. I hope it is clear. Also apply to processing of digital personal data outside the territory of India, if such processing is in connection with any activity related to offering of goods or services to data principals within the territory of India. Very interesting. A lot of people are missing it, but this has quite a bit of a significance. And somebody can tell me what is the significance? Any idea? What is the significance of this?
Cannot take out data.
The significance of this is, earlier the government was thinking or proposing through the law that all the data should be kept inside the country. There was a lot of resistance because we are now a global economy and India, of course, is the back office of the world. That was not sort of practical, or palatable to the industry. So what they say is take the data out, but the law will remain applicable. We are happy as Indians that even if our data is being taken outside, if it relates to offering of goods or services to data principals within the territory of India, the law applies. That is what we wanted. By keeping the data in the country, what was the objective? that it should remain within the legal perimeter of India. That is, we are achieving. So you keep it wherever you want, because otherwise keeping data in cloud would have been very, very difficult, because I and you never know where actually that cloud is when you are uploading the data. And today nobody can say don't use cloud. That's something, going back to the Pashan Yug, Stone Age. So that's not going to happen. So keep it wherever you want, technically feasible, economically feasible, but the law will remain applicable. Couple of more things here. This is agnostic to the nationality. If you would have seen this, it does not say it applies to the citizens of India. It says activities pertaining to data principles within. So anybody who is traveling from abroad to India and booking a hotel, law applies. Should be very, very clear. Because this question is again and again coming. What if somebody is coming from X country or going to Y country? We are not getting into, we are keeping it very simple. That connection with any activity related to offering of goods or services. You buy a wine at the airport in India while leaving the country, the law becomes applicable. Simple. We are not checking which nationality you belong to, which ethnicity you belong to, when you came, but till the time the transaction is happening in India regarding the goods and services, so nothing is left out. Everything is either a good or a service. Very smartly covered, but keeping it still simple, please. Next. Now, who is a data principal? The individual to whom the personal data relates. There is a lot of simplicity they have brought in. No sensitive personal data, nothing. Everything is personal data, and something which belongs to an individual. Earlier draft and GDPR talks about sensitive personal data. Even the IT Act section 43A talks about certain items which are important or the sensitive personal data. Nothing. Simple. Individual is a child includes the parents or lawful guardian. A person with disability includes her lawful guardian acting on her behalf. Now, her here does not mean only females. So this is a new thing introduced in this law, that so far the law were saying his means his and her both. They said, no, 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 we will say her, which means his also. So this is a new introduction. थोड़ा marketing भी करना होता है ना. I think it's a good thing. Anyway, I think she power. Telangana, in any case, the place where we are sitting is, having an entire department for the women safety, a very senior police officer assigned, a very decorative officer. So I think it's good. Next, please. And any question, anytime, please stop me. Feel free. Now, what is processing? Now, this is important. Very, very important. So far, we have understood the data principle, the data applicability. On what? Applicability on what? So the entire thing rests on processing. Very smartly written. Please see to this. Means wholly or partly automated operation or set of operations performed on digital personal data and includes. So it does not mean this list is exhaustive, although this is an exhaustive list, but they are saying even beyond that. And includes operations such as collection, recording, organization, structuring, storage, adaptation, retrieval, use, alignment, or combination, so on and so forth. I don't think anything is left out. And they are still saying this is including, so which means everything else is also included. This is not the exhaustive list. Anything is left out? Anybody? Maybe you take your time at leisure, think it over, and tell them. Next. Very important. Specified purpose means the purpose mentioned in the notice given by the data fiduciary to the data principal in accordance with the provisions of this act and the rules made therein. So for the corporate, whenever you are taking the data, the purpose is critical. You will have to mention for what purpose you are taking the data. It is not that you are taking the data, that is understood. Somebody is opening a bank account or somebody is giving data to start the Aadhaar card. That is understood. But if somebody is giving an application of loan, can his savings account be opened? Or if he is giving a consent for opening a current account, can his loan account be opened? Or can he be offered an insurance policy? That is what is happening. No, you go and do any transaction with one of those private banks, you will start getting calls, sir, card ले लीजिए, हमारा golden card ले लीजिए, हमारा platinum ले लीजिए, हमारा insurance policy, ये वो whatever. So they start offering you all these services. Services are not banned. They can still offer. But can they use your data? And even phone number is a data. So they can't use your phone number. So if you open an account, say in any of the banks, HDFC or ICICI or Axis, they cannot use your phone number to offer you the next service. Earlier, there was a concept of sensitive personal data, and that was being handled separately because it was understood or thought that, for example, the health data or the banking data, financial data is more sensitive than, say, phone number, email ID, which is normally people are exchanging, giving to each other. I am sharing my phone number freely with everybody else because I expect and I want people to call me. But now the question is, you can call me, but for what? Specified purpose, which you have specified as a fiduciary to me as a data principal, and I have accepted or given my consent. Next, please.
So who becomes a fiduciary?
Somebody who has taken the responsibility of collection of data for processing.
Suppose in Amazon I have loaded my data.
So Amazon becomes your fiduciary.
Amazon becomes data fiduciary?
Yes. If you are expecting Amazon to provide you some service or some goods and you are giving your data to them, they become the fiduciary. Now there is another entity called data processor. So what may happen that Amazon may give that data to a third party to do some processing, computer processing. Like we are as a back office of the world are doing a lot of data processing. But that is immaterial as far as you are concerned. You do not know, neither you are, it is none of your business. You have given your data to Amazon, so they are data fiduciary and they are responsible for the compliance of the law. And it is their responsibility to ensure that the third party which they have engaged for processing, they are also complying with the law as far as you are concerned. That's how it is. When data can be processed. Now, as far as me as a data principal or you as a data principal are concerned, this is what is something pertains to me. There are only two ways. Number one, a person may process the personal data of a data principal only in accordance with the provisions of this act and for a lawful purpose. So what does it mean, lawful purpose? Any idea? Why this word is important? Anybody? Just guess.
In case he misuses that data,
Who?
whoever is getting the data, lawful means
No. No. That is the violation of the law. That is the violation of a specified purpose. So you have given opening a savings bank account, but he is using it for insurance. So that is that. Yes.
From my vendor.
Uh-huh.
So I have to ensure that actually that vendor form is actually linked with Aadhaar and similarly he is filing returns. He is not a specified person. So I have to ensure.
Anybody else? Any idea?
Where the law requires you to process the data for such purposes.
So if Amazon starts selling narcotics, they are doing it. A lot of places you may find banned substances being sold. Right? You are giving consent, yes. Please use my data and deliver banned substances at my home. That is not a lawful. So you cannot collect the data for a purpose which is unlawful.
Why her consent only, not his?
But I've already explained. No, her and his both. Her means his. Earlier it used to be his, which includes her. So she said, why I am always behind? In the Indian mythology, it is Sita, Ram, Radha, Krishna. So I am always ahead. Please go back. So it is now her. So her means his means her.
Some lawyer like you might take a
Advantage.
point on that particular thing, and then it's only her consent. This is his person.
Lions have a lot of good things to do also, sir. Work already. Overburdened. Right. So this is important that, and they have also defined lawful purpose means any purpose which is not expressly forbidden by law. So, for example, NDPS Act forbids dealing in certain substances, narcotics substances. Similarly, dealing in arms, etc. Any such thing which is forbidden by law is not a lawful purpose. The data can be processed where there is a consent, or it is not and. Lawful purpose was a requirement to begin with. Here, either the consent is given or for legitimate uses, even if there is no consent. Understood? What it can be? Legitimate use. Just one example. Police to legal, illegal. Let's not include police. Something else, corporate only. So we have people from health industry also. There is a guy who is a victim of an accident. He is whether he is willing to give his consent or not, his treatment is required. He may be unconscious, right? Or he may be conscious and he says, no, I don't want a treatment. While the law says, the Motor Vehicles Act says, the treatment has to be provided. Because otherwise, the insurer will say that no treatment was provided. The guy died because of non-treatment. It was not because of the accident. It was because, and here the lawyers will come and argue for the right purpose. It was not the accident which led to the death. It is the lack of treatment which led to the death. अब इसका क्या करें? If somebody is deliberately refusing to be treated and then he is dying, why should the insurance guys pay? This is suicide. This is not accidental death, isn't it? So that is the kind of scenario. Of course, police and everything else is included, and that is a statutory requirement. The law is very, very clear. Whenever the police sends you a notice or somebody's data is sought, has to be provided. But otherwise also, for example, you go, somebody comes to the bank, he says, open my account, I give my consent, but don't use my PAN card. What to do? Because there is another law, income tax law, or there are RBI rules which says without PAN card, don't open. Suppose. What to do? So at that time, usage of that data becomes a legitimate use to perform either a consent. It may be because he has given a consent, but not the consent to use a certain data. Or even if he is not given the consent, but it is required for a legitimate use. Let it be. Let it be. So, all of you who are data fiduciaries and you want to use the data, meet your lawyer and ask him to find out a what? legitimacy in the usage. If we can find a legitimacy in the usage, you can use it. Otherwise, stop it. Stop it today itself. Because if your usage is not for a legitimate purpose and consent is missing, of course, you can't do it. अभी तो कार्ड ले लीजिए, इंश्योरेंस ले लीजिए, कार्ड ही खरीद लीजिए, सर्विस करा लीजिए. You are in an important meeting or you are in the midst of taking a bath and your phone is ringing. You said पता नहीं क्या हो गया. And you pick up the phone, सर आपका गाड़ी सर्विस नहीं. अरे अभी अपने को तो सर्विस कर ले पहले, राइट? फिर गाड़ी को सर्विस करेंगे. So no, if I have not given the consent, this is not a legitimate use. She cannot say, Lolo, look, you are supposed to get your car serviced and we have called you 3 times and you are not coming to the showroom. So this is not a legitimate use. No.
They are not giving consent, means they won't be.
They won't be. And if they... No, sir. No. The law is very clear and law has safeguard that you cannot be refused a service just because you are not giving extra consents. So specified purpose. So what is the specified purpose here is savings bank account. Whatever minimal data is required to open your savings bank account. If you are providing that, the service cannot be denied to you. That is again the violation. Otherwise, everybody will say, no, I will not open. This is happening even now. They say, until you take this facility or that facility, we will not give you this facility. So that already the RBI is very strict on that. But in terms of this law also, forced consent is not at all allowed. No. Is that clear?
Most of the banks, they see other is not mandated to transfer this thing, Supreme Court order, right? But till now, practically every bank has under like every bank is asking every
What is your good name, sir?
Nitin.
Nitin. Have you ever approached me? I'll fight your case. See, if somebody is doing some, no, I fully agree with you, sir. If somebody is doing something which is, say, illegal, what is the recourse? You will have to go to a proper judicial forum. You are right. In fact, yesterday only, I was training the entire AGM and above of one of the leading public sector banks, and they also asked me this question. That said, this is not mandatory. I say yes. It is only mandatory as per the Aadhaar Act if a particular service is being provided by the government, like subsidy, etc. Otherwise, the usage, and that is how, if you see, wherever there is a so-called mandate of connecting Aadhaar with, say, PAN, it is always being rescheduled. Because if you stop it at there, people will move to the court. It is not mandatory. There are alternative IDs available. Everybody is asking and everybody is giving. So it has become very convenient. But yes, if you are being forced and denied a service,
They won't deny. They just simply delay the work. This is a practical experience of most of the things. Those people are dealing regularly with banks, specifically banks and government.
I share a very old personal experience. When I was a kid, maybe in 10th or something, so I went to the local branch and deposit 5,000 rupees. And the person at the counter said, no, I'm very busy and these small denomination notes I will not take. I say, you take and keep it whenever you are free, you count. I have no problem. I'm not saying, immediately do it. He says, no, I will not take it. He refused. Bacha, chota bacha, jaan ke. So what I did, I came to home, I written a simple letter to the regional manager of the bank and posted 1 rupees or whatever was the ticket. Maybe it was much lesser, I think, at that time. In 15 days, some inquiry came, and that guy came running to my house, and all my elders at my head, "Arey, what you have done? Now he can be suspended. You have made a complaint. What was the matter? This is something very small for which you have made a complaint." I said, this is very normal. If I went to the bank to avail a service, and if there is nothing illegal or wrong, he should provide me a service. ये छोटा बच्चा जान के, so if they are not providing you a service, have you made a complaint? Made a complaint to the CVO, to the Chief Vigilance Officer. See that bank person coming and with gift and everything to you. And sir, I am sorry, sir. I never intended to hurt you, and tell me what all I can do. I'll give you loan and everything without being eligible. So I think we also need to be a little I understand everybody is busy, and normally people try to not get into all these kind of arguments. Perfectly fine. But then somebody has to move forward and bring this whole thing in line with the law and the provisions. So we will have to be vigilant citizens. Next, please. What happened? Anyway, so it's fine. Now, whenever the data fiduciary wants to use the data, it has to be preceded by a notice. So number one, yes, they will have to take your consent. But how? The question is how? By giving you a proper notice, and not like Google or Microsoft is giving you a notice of 40-page contract, which even lawyers will find difficult to understand. Simplified version and in the language of
get any proposal through sari.com or not, that is immaterial, but probably after marriage you will start getting good proposals. So somebody might have had this experience, they can share. I think I have no problem. So they said it is not a one way anymore. Whenever you are taking the consent and giving a notice to the data principal, please mention it clearly that the ease at which you are giving the consent, at the same ease you can withdraw your consent. It should not be that when you go to withdraw that consent, it will become like an airline website. On an airline website, if you want to find out anything, you just can't get it. I don't know how they have designed it. Especially if you want to add points to your card, you will not find that heading anywhere. It is just only a luck, probably after browsing through almost everything, leaving nothing, you bump upon a place where you can add your points because you don't want. So they say no, this will not work anymore. The ease at which a person is giving a consent, because everybody wants a consent, data process karna hai, business karna hai. At the same ease, you will have to allow withdrawal. And also a very prominent notice and a link that if any of these things which is provided in the law is not happening, then how to make a complaint. This is now part of the law. Because this data protection board is going to be an online entity. So if I am giving a consent, I am withdrawing a consent, or I have any problem regarding to this particular law, this notice will include all those steps using which I can make a complaint then and there. Good, no? No need of lawyers. नुकसान हो गया. Happy sir? You have been taken care. अभी आपको प्रॉब्लम है तो चिट्ठी लिखने के लिए कुछ अलग से ईमेल कागज नहीं चाहिए. यहीं they will have to provide it here, and everything is online. The entire mechanism of the data protection board is going to be online. ठीक है ना सर? Next चलिए. I hope speed is okay, more or less. Because all this is, of course, is available everywhere. It is the interaction and the question answers and the understanding which we, because objective today is to find out solutions, to build our understanding. Where a data principal has given a consent for the processing of our personal data before the date of commencement of this act. So almost every consent is already given. फिर क्या होगा? The data fiduciary shall. It is shall, not will. It is mandatory. As soon as it is reasonably practicable, give to the data principal a notice informing her the personal data and the purpose for which the same has been processed. And that will be a gigantic task. Because right now you are using it left, right, center, you do not even know yourself. You have given it to everybody. You have put into your personal laptop, taken home, and the children are using that data for preparing some statistical chart for the school presentation. Because they just needed a very good data set. So you yourself may not be aware. But now you will have to figure out and say the personal data and the purpose for which the same has been processed. Why is it required? Because you will have to now take the consent for the specified purpose. So until and unless the purpose is mentioned in the notice and the data is already with you, so you already know for what purposes you have used it. So it is now a reverse consent. The manner in which she may exercise her rights under subsection 4 of section 6 and section 3, that is withdrawal as well as complaint. The manner in which data principal will make a complaint to the board in such manner and as we prescribe, but there is a saving grace. What if people are not giving back the consent? You have sent them a notice that this is the purpose for which I am using your data, but he is sleeping. She is sleeping. Then what? क्या होगा? बताइए. What would happen? Is it hand mic required or this will work? This is required. Okay. So tell me what would happen. That person, you have sent a notice. Your hospital has sent a notice that we have utilized your data for keeping this is specified purpose for performing this surgery, etc. That person is no more responding because he has not received the email, his address is changed, he is not interested, his phone number is changed. Saving grace. The data fiduciary may continue to process the personal data until and unless the data principal withdraws. So your responsibility as a fiduciary is to give notice and forget. If that person comes back and says, no, I'm withdrawing my consent for all future process. Nobody can withdraw a consent for a past process. Is that possible? Somebody comes and says, no, 3 saal pehle I have given you consent, I am withdrawing from that date. What would happen? So you will have to impracticable, of course.
There should be a record maintained, right? What is being said? There should be some kind of record.
Yes. There would be a record that what notice you have sent and what is the response, if any. Yes, sir.
If data principal withdraws the consent, then the data fiduciary, whether they delete the data, is required to delete the data.
There is a complete schedule now as part of the rules that for how much time you can keep the data retention. Until and unless there is some other law which has prescribed a different time frame. And if there is nothing prescribed, yes, you will have to delete it. So if somebody says no more required shadi.com, there is no legitimate purpose for you, no justification, delete it. Forget. He or she is no more interested. Not interested, not interested. What to do? But the person has got married. That was the only purpose for which that person has created a profile at your website. Now this purpose is completed. Why keep it in your database?
Company might have required.
Then you have to hire your lawyer, refer it to your lawyer and ask if there is a legitimate purpose. Whatever is your imagination, it's fine. I fully agree with you that there might be reasons to keep it. Then you will have to justify the legitimate. If you can, then you can keep it. No issues. Then even the consent is not required. If there is a legitimate purpose, there is a reason, and there are so many other reasons. For example, statistical purposes, research purposes, the government may allow for data to be maintained. That is fine. For example, during the corona time, it was very much important to maintain the data of each and every person who would have suffered from corona or who have been given the vaccine or any kind of a test or something. Whether the person is withdrawing the consent, no. This is required. This is in the best interest of the society to maintain that data and do the research because that data is otherwise not available. So yes, the government may prescribe and those savings are already there in the law. Next, please.
Before this act starts, whoever is holding the data, is there any rule that we have to publish that information to the public? Today,
No,
already I have
not
given to so many
public.
people.
You will have to individually send a notice to each and every person whose data you are maintaining. So suppose you are maintaining data of 10 lakh people today. You will not publish it any public place or website or something. Individually, you will have to send notice to all those 1 million persons saying this is the data we are maintaining and this is the purpose we are using it. So kindly permit us to continue maintaining this data and continue using it for these purposes.
After that, individuals, they're supposed to send it to the customer or.
Yeah, customer or data principal, whatever you call it. Whomsoever data you have kept. So customer, not only customer, maybe your employees, maybe your vendors, if they have given you some KYC for opening an account, maybe your anybody. Anybody's personal data if you are having, and you will have to take the consent.
Cleaning on that day is.
No, one time, then after the implementation of the act, if you are utilizing data for anything other than the purpose for which the earlier consent is there, you will have to then take a consent. But if for the same purpose, the consent is continuing. Right? Is that clear? Now, this is a new feature, probably an important feature or a new thought process. But so far, you had been doing nomination on the financial assets, for example, in bank, that in the eventual incapacity of a person who can operate or withdraw that financial asset from the say bank. Now they have said that the personal data is also is that kind of an asset which requires nomination. So in the untimely event of a death or incapacity of a person, that person can nominate somebody to do the consent process. This is a landmark and very different thought process, and I think it's very important. Today, I have seen many of these issues, especially to telecom. So father dies, he has got a phone number on which all the OTPs are coming. All the three sons are saying, no, this number belongs to me. I want to keep it. Because then only they will come to know where all that money has been left. Kabhi na kabhi to OTP aayega. Otherwise, there is no way to know. He has not told that elderly person before death. He did not disclose where all that money he has kept in which bank. Or no information is available. The only way is to check it through the phone number. Even if they know that it is say in the PNB or Access, they will say sir, information which. So phone number is one such method by which you get a lot of good information. Now, whom to give that phone number? This problem to the Airtel or VSNL, whom to give? If they deactivate that phone number, everything goes. No OTP comes, nothing can be done. The accounts are dead. But if they give to A, B, or C, no way. So now they have provided this that okay, if the person wants to nominate, he may still not nominate. That is a different thing altogether. But at least whenever someone wants to do it, they can do. So very useful for phone numbers or email IDs on which OTPs, passwords, recovery passwords, such things are coming. Except income tax notices. Somebody called me, an old postman from my native place. Sir, आपका डाक है. डाक post. Everything is on email or on the WhatsApp. Nobody is sending letters. Any love letters coming now, sir? No. I see. What DAC? What post? He says notice from income tax department, sir. I said, no, just tell them they are no more available. He says, kya?
By letters only.
So he said, sir, what reason should I give? He says, lapata, not traceable. Income tax ka notice, not traceable, not available. Although that communication had already come to me on email and everything, but they are still sending those letters. नहीं वो तो
frequently.
We are very happy. We meet all these big politicians in the Supreme Court either day. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. All these big talks in the public, there nobody talks. Only listen. Court is very strict. वहां नहीं चलता है. Okay, so I have answered the question somebody put, or still something is missing. Done? Okay. So shall have the right to nominate in such manner as we prescribed any other individual who shall, in the event of death or incapacity of the data principal, exercise the rights of data principal in accordance with the provisions of this act. And incapacity they have also defined. Send it to the government. Feel free. It is open till 18th Feb. So you can do it. Next, please.
This conversation is between data principal to data fiduciary.
Yes. Because we need to close within the time, I think. We have limited time. Right to withdraw. So wherever the basis of processing is consent, very important right to withdraw is there. With the ease of doing, the important word is it should not become very difficult to do it. So while taking consent, you say just click, done. And when you want to withdraw, they say, okay, what is your name of your father, your grandfather, your nanny, which village, which was your original religion, right? And there is a spelling mistake between your name and your father's surname. No, this is not doable. We cannot do it, right? They will have to find out ways and means to deny, that you are not the same person because it's all virtual. No, with the same ease. One click. If the consent is one click, the withdrawal would be that simple. Please. Shall have the right to have readily available means of grievance redressal also. So in case there is a problem, people are not following, the fiduciaries are not following the law, they will have to ensure, like in public sector, banks, etc., you go, the CBO details are now very clearly, promptly mentioned. Chief Vigilance Officer, if somebody is asking for a bribe or something, you can make a complaint to this address, email, phone number. Very promptly mentioned. Please. Now, some exceptions that shall not apply. The processing of personal data is necessary for enforcing any legal right or claim. So when I am taking the loan from the bank, I am agreeing for everything. But if the bank wants to send me a notice because I am not repaying my loan, I say, no consent. You can't send me a notice. I am withdrawing my consent. So no. For enforcing any legal right or claim, this will not work. Otherwise, everybody will withdraw the moment he finds out that he has not paid his loan. He will say, no, I am withdrawing all consent and kindly delete my address, name, forget me. As if I ever existed in the planet. The processing of personal data by any court or tribunal or any other body in India which is interested by law with the performance of the police or any judicial body, they can. It will not apply to that. Next. Next, please. Next. No, I think something missed out. Go back. Back. These are some of the exemptions which we have talked about. And you can, of course, read it. That the provisions of this act shall not apply in respect of the processing of personal data for so many things. For example, the central government in the interest of sovereignty, integrity, security, friendly relations, statistics, research, and all these things are there. I think you can quickly go through. Next. So we'll briefly discuss some of the rules and then we'll take up the questions. I think we need to wind up. We have another speaker also lined up. In this. And question answer is more important than, of course, this is all is there in the YouTube and document. First time, security, cyber security is now mandated by law. Earlier it was voluntary. You want to do it, you do it. If you see it, there is a value in spending money on cyber security, you do it. Otherwise, it's okay. Now the law has mandated under section 8, subsection 4 and the rule 6, reasonable security safeguards. Which means, in effect, that even if there is no breach of data, but you have not maintained reasonable security safeguards, you can be fined. You getting my point? It is not that the board will bait that, okay, let there be a breach and then we will say your safeguards were not reasonable. No. The means of this is, this provision means you will have to have that reasonable security safeguards. What is the meaning of the word reasonable? Everything is reasonable. A woman is always reasonable in all situations, right or wrong? What does it mean? It means keeping in mind the kind of business you are in, the size of business you are in. If you are in banking, if you are in health, you are a big bank, you have millions of data, and you just have a basic firewall, 50,000 rupees, put it at the gate of your bank, which is not even connected to the network. You say, I have taken reasonable security safeguards, I have spent 50,000 rupees. Firewall is not working, that is different matter. I have not configured it or even not switched it off, switched it on, but I have taken measures. No, sir, no. No, sir, no. This is commensurate to the kind of business you are in and the size of complexity, sensitivity. So somebody said in a conference that on the telecom companies and the banking companies, there are so many restrictions, and so many compliance requirements. Sir, if you are not happy with this, I'm not saying, that person replied from the deck, go and open a shoe business. जूता बनाने का दुकान खोल लीजिए, आप मत करिए telecom, because on the telecom the whole country depends. Today, if for 1 hour the mobile network goes in Hyderabad, there will be chaos. People will be on the road. There will be law and order issue, right? And all transactions will held up. If our friends want to pay for the hotel, online is not working. He will say, no, nobody can leave. All people are hostage till the time paid. Nobody. I say, no, I am not the organizer. No. I don't know who is the organizer or not. Everybody will remain here till the time I am paid. Network is not working, so give cash. No, things like that. Because we are so much dependent, the entire society, everybody is so much dependent. Banking services not working, telecom not working. These are essential for the livelihood, for the life. Or hospital emergency not working. You cannot say hospital emergency not working. Just not working. And it has happened. In UK, there was a major ransomware attack, and the all health services went out of gear. Oil supply recently in US because of the ransomware attack. That has impacted millions of people. It's not about money. It's about fundamental right to live. आप किसी का बिजली, पानी, हेल्थ सर्विस, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ये सब नहीं रोक सकते. That's basic to livelihood now. So they have said that you will have to do it. These are all, every IT person knows that what all you need to do. And they have said technical as well as organizational measures, meaning not only those firewalls, endpoint security, SOC system and everything, but you will have to have a policy framework. You will have to have some kind of a organizational measures. This is now a must. And it is not about breach. It is that you will have to do it on a continuous basis as part of your self-compliance. Otherwise, any day they will send you a notice and say fine. Because your, and this is something very difficult. So you need a lawyer from day one to certify that whatever security measures they have taken is reasonable. Now that reason, who will write the reason? Your lawyer. He will give sufficient reasons. You want to take away all the business? What we will do, sir? Today you will feed me, I know. At the end of this conference, after I spend a lot of time, you will feed me. But what about tomorrow and day after? My other friend is also there. We all need to be fed. I actually asked the minister because I was part of the consultative process from the very beginning. He said, no, we don't want to be prescriptive. I think in a way it's good because you see, there are so much variety of businesses on which this is applicable. Government cannot prescribe for each and every kind of a business a different set of rules. For some, it will become very easy. For some, it will become very onerous. So you figure out the kind of business you are in and put appropriate measures. Are not you otherwise doing it? See how many guards you have in your factory. Who is deciding? You are deciding. The kind of material you are keeping, kind of area you are operating, the kind of threat your people have perceived in that particular area. Now, if somebody is operating a factory in Naxal area, his security and threat perception is very different than somebody who is operating Campa Cola or Coca-Cola in the middle of the heart of the Hyderabad. Here, the risk is very limited, very different, right? Here, the risk is more from the income tax and the other people coming in than some thief and some gunda coming in. So you will have to, and I think to keep it dynamic, it's okay. Because if they prescribe each and everything, it will become really onerous for small businesses, especially very onerous. Because they cannot leave anything from their side. You cannot claim that because you have not prescribed, so I am not doing it. They don't want to take that kind of a chance. So I think it's deliberate and should be welcome to begin with. Let us see if it doesn't work out. Of course, they will come with more guidelines. Next, please. And then they have mentioned how to do it. I think everybody knows it. And again, it is up to you to decide and your consultants to decide that what is appropriate and reasonable for your kind of a business. So let's not get into any details on that. And today, of course, we don't have much time. Please go forward. Any question will come, we will. Intimation of personal data breach. So if there is a personal data breach happening, so one was notice for past data. And second notice is if there is a personal data breach happening, intimate to each affected data principal in a concise, clear, and plain manner without delay through her user account or any mode of communication registered by her with the data fiduciary. Next. A description of breach, including its nature, extent, and the timing and location of its occurrence. Next. The consequences relevant to that data principle, which may differ from the category of people. It will not be same for all. Next. The measures implemented and being implemented by the data fiduciary. तो आपको ये भी बताना है कि डेटा ब्रीच हो गया, आपके ऊपर क्या फर्क पड़ेगा और हम किस तरह आपको सेफगार्ड करने वाले हैं. नेक्स्ट. And what you can do in the meantime. So what the data fiduciary is doing, what you should be doing. What is the likely impact? Now, this is a very wonderful question. How the data fiduciary will really figure out the kind of impact on the person. Somebody will start screaming, data chori ho gaya. Shadi.com ka data chori. Somebody will become very happy. Now I am so much widespread. Everybody knows me. I am there on the darknet. So my photo is now available. So my choice has really gone much beyond than the access to the shadi.com. So it's very difficult how the people will perceive it. It is not always negative. Sometimes it becomes positive also, sir, isn't it? During the Notbandi, I have heard people throwing money out. Some people started burning the bundles cash. I do not have that kind of a money. But in the locality, if you want to be looking rich, that was one good thing. So we started burning the waste papers in the dead of the night. So that became an opportunity to show our wealth, which never existed. But yes, there is an opportunity. So for me, it was a good opportunity. I never thought it is bad. I always thought it is good. For 10,000 rupees, you are looking like as you have millions. And if some neighbor suddenly comes in, no. This is something, please allow us some privacy because there is nothing to be shared. So right. But the caveat, the catch here is what is happening so far. Even today, it is a requirement because you need to inform CERT and all that. That people are getting panicked. And an incident which is not reportable should not be reported, they are reporting. And starting that investigation from CERT and everything else. Bell mujhe maar. So you refer it to your consultant and ask him, should we reporting it or not? Yes, sir.
The requirement is to report within 6 hours, right?
अरे सर, have a consultant available. लाइफ में दो लोग दोस्त रखिए, एक डॉक्टर और एक वकील. Because the golden hour is first hour. If your heart stops, all wealth is of no use. Similarly, if police has arrested you, you are socially gone. You may get bail, you may get everything else. But what you need is not to be arrested at that time. So Godfather mein hai na wo scene when the Godfather is injured and the police guys come to arrest, and then suddenly their personal lawyer comes and says, look, I am the lawyer. This is the law. You can't arrest. We have all this. Okay. At the nick of the moment, if you are saved, you are saved. Otherwise, you are gone. So you need to have a policy and a continuous engagement with the person who is available, who understands you and your process and your data. So he can decide quickly whether this kind of an incident, whatever you are claiming has happened, whether it is reportable or not. In one of our client's case, who are actually not our client earlier, they have reported and shared a lot of data with the agencies. And then the agencies found out, Acha, murga aa gaya. Very good, very nice. They started asking more and more questions. When they came to me, I say, the law is not applicable to you at all because you are a foreign entity. Is it very simple? The law is not applicable to you. You are a foreign entity. You are sharing data, reams and reams of data. And they will start questioning because it is their responsibility, it is their duty. बोलिए सर, क्या करना चाहिए? डेटा देना चाहिए? ये तो आपका अंदर जाना पक्का है, बच तो सकते नहीं. एक बार डेटा एजेंसी को मिलेगा तो वो तो प्रोसेस करेगी और कुछ ना कुछ तो निकलेगा उसमें. So one has to really figure out. One has, and it is actually an unnecessary exercise for them also because finally they will also come to the same conclusion. Genuinely, but so much effort unnecessary. So I think it's always a good policy to understand. Next, please. Business contact information of a person. So I'm saying today I'm restricting myself because of the paucity of time and in the interest of keeping this whole thing very live. Of course, we have some more stuff. If the organizers allow, we can take some questions now or later on. Any question for the time being?
Virtual people who are joining, so they may be.
Are there any questions in the chat boxes? Or they want to ask any question if you allow?
Will enable allow mic.
Yes, yes. Kindly allow. Any questions, please ask quickly.
We have a question. So this DPDP Act is likely to prompt companies to allocate dedicated budgets for cybersecurity. Are there any guidelines for minimum measures provisions which will be made by organizations?
Yes, the rule 6, which was discussed, and they have given indicative measures to be taken. Of course, the word reasonable is very much there. So each and every organization has to decide at the end of the day what is reasonable with respect to the kind of business they are in, the kind of data principle, the size, and the kind of threats they are likely to face, and their data principles are likely to face. That should be the criteria.
There is another question from Kumar Saman. Sir, is there any regulation to get system audited of every small and big company in light of data breaching cases? If no, what is next?
No, the government is very clear. They said we are not going to be prescriptive because in the audit only, it happens that you get the audit done once in a year and other 364 days you are in breach. So on one day when the auditor is signing, it is compliant. So they saying compliance is now the responsibility of the data fiduciary 365 days in the year. Any moment any breach is found, they will be penalized. So no audit as such prescribed. But yes, in the case of significant data fiduciary, they may prescribe something later on. But the audit has to be done. If someone wants to be sure as a data fiduciary or as an organization whether they are compliant or not, there is no other way but to have an audit done by an appropriate person. Anything else? Okay, so thank you very much for your patience listening, and any further queries anytime, you can definitely address it to us. We have another contributor to this conference. Thank you.